subscribe and, like the video. Marco Elez is the first Elon Musk Doge boy to resign after the Wall Street Journal uncovered racist posts, including ones where he advocated for repealing the Civil Rights Act and backed the eugenic immigration policy. Elez previously worked at SpaceX and currently works at X. One of the funniest things you can be is like an anti-Indian racist when you're in the tech sector. Because it's like, dude, what do you just hate 80% of your coworkers? Like, dude, you worked at SpaceX and now you're working at X. Virtually everyone around you is either a first-generation immigrant or Asian. What are we doing here? That's exactly what it looks like in tech, to be honest. 25-year-old employee Marco Elez resigned Thursday after the Wall Street Journal asked the White House about his connections to the account. The deleted profile associated with Elez, who was embedded in the Treasury Department to carry out efficiency measures, advocated repealing the Civil Rights Act and backed the eugenic immigration policy in the weeks before President Trump was inaugurated. Oh my God. He was popping off right before he got this new job, too. You could not pay me to marry outside of my ethnicity, the account wrote on X in September. According to a Wall Street Journal review of the archive post, normalize Indian hate, the account wrote the same month, in reference to a post noting the prevalence of people from India in Silicon Valley. The account, null pointer, a misspelling of a keyword in the C++ programming language, was deleted in December, but hundreds of brash, sometimes sophomoric posts have been archived. The user appeared to have a special dislike for Indian software engineers. 99% of Indian H-1Bs, oh, that's why he had to resign. I get it. That's the real reason. 99% of Indian H-1Bs will be replaced by slightly smarter LLMs. They're going back. Don't worry, guys, the user posted in December. Just for the record, I was racist before it was cool, null pointer posted in July. In June, the user weighed on the conflict in the Middle East, offering some sympathy for Israel, but also posting, I would not mind at all if Gaza and Israel were both wiped off the face of the earth. Nice, dude. Extreme centrist. Okay, it could be because of the H-1B thing, or more likely it could be because of Israel. It is wild that so many groypers, like so many open, active Nick Fuentes fans are getting highlighted by this administration. It is wild. This is just your average Republican. Yeah. My dad is on CNN right now. Judge blocks Trump's buyout offer.
Angle, it's what Doge is doing with Elon Musk. It's what, the executive order about Schedule F and kind of the reclassifying of some of these workers as political appointees, making it easier to fire them. This has been something that the deluge, the fire hose from the executive order. So I was looking at that list. I was seeing how repetitive many of them are.
Do background checks not exist anymore? Bro, Elon Musk did the background check, chatter. He hired him because he was racist.
In terms of implementation, not just ideology.
And it's kind of how we saw Trump's personal legal strategy play out when he was out of office.
Yeah, he checked them all right.
A lot of his attorneys, not all, I should say, are working for the federal government right now, are going to be. But it's this kind of either delay, and just fight it out in the courts later, or just throw everything, file all these motions, and essentially take all of these attempts to fight this.
And let me go even farther back in Donald Trump's history. He came up as a real estate baron in this city by stiffing his contractors, right? His theory was, well, I owe this concrete supplier $100,000 for this job. How about I just pay you nothing? And then you, concrete supplier who has less resources than me, less time than me, you go hire a lawyer, you go sue me, and you know what's going to probably happen? Probably settle for a fraction of it. So it's really that same litigation tactic brought to the White House.
But what's different is this is the federal government,
right,
and there
exactly.
are different responsibilities in terms of the USAID numbers really struck me tonight in terms of yes, there have been all the arguments about maybe this is wasteful or why are we spending money on this as a country. But to see that there are only 290 people left of an agency that had 10,000 people in it 2 weeks ago is a drastic amount. And it makes me wonder about the assurances that we've received and that Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State, has offered, saying we're going to keep this up. But, I mean, you've virtually eliminated every position there.
They're trying to have their cake and eat it, too. They're saying this won't be a full, whole-scale change. Essential services would continue. But those numbers kind of betray the point. Because it will be such a drastic reduction in the folks at USAID, I think what you're saying is important, though, because there was a desire for government reform. There has been a sense government's been wasteful, change is necessary. But is that what we are seeing? I think that's going to be the big question. Is really not, I think there is a mandate for shakeup, right? And I think Donald Trump is right to kind of claim that thing. But I think there's a much bigger question of what the solutions are. And that's the part the Democrats are really engaging in right now. Yes, it's a question of resistance to Trump. But the real question is, what should foreign aid look like, right? What does an efficient bureaucracy, what does efficient government look like? And Donald Trump is offering his vision of that right now. The question is going to be the counterweight.
Yeah, and we haven't really seen an alternative being offered to USAID in this sense. As Trump's talking about taking over Gaza and what that looks like. But, Ellie, what we heard from this judge, I thought this was a notable quote from the judge who blocked the midnight deadline, saying it has become ever more apparent that our president, the rule of law is but an impediment to his policy goals. The rule of law is, according to him, something to navigate around or simply ignore, whether that be for political or personal gain.
Okay, so first of all, that judge that we're looking at right now, he's a Reagan appointee. He's not some liberal Democratic appointee. Those are pretty strong words. And I think that judge is identifying the same thing we're talking about. And look at this USAID reduction, right? The law is pretty clear that the president cannot on his own create or completely eliminate a federal agency. Congress has to do that. And so what does he do? He says, well, I'm not going to quite eliminate it. I'm just going to cut it from 10,000 people to 290 people. That was done strategically. And I agree. I think that judge is right. This is all about getting his policy goals, maybe expanding the law, and really sort of throwing red meat to the political base. And again, what's the cost to Trump? He doesn't even have to pay for his lawyers anymore. Now he has DOJ do it for free.
The only question to me is there a public response, right? Like, we haven't really seen a kind of engaged electorate or the type of pushback we saw back in 2017. Donald Trump, I think we know what this administration's goals are, and we know that they have a kind of multi-pronged legal and political strategy to advance them. To me, the issue is, where are they going to meet that resistance? We know the courts are going to be one place, but the place that will drive the elected officials will be if there's a public reaction. And we haven't seen that to this front. And I think it's important to say, is there a story about USAID and these government agencies that people do feel like essential services are being lost?
That's such a great point, because Trump is often driven by the coverage, the perception of something. He may not realize in the moment how something goes over. I'm thinking of Helsinki, with he was standing shoulder to shoulder with Putin, but it was only after the coverage later that he walked back his statement, because he's driven by the coverage of this. And so far, maybe they think, well, we've got tacit approval, essentially.
Yeah, there would have been a way to do this smartly. I mean, there is government bloat. There is government waste. I mean, take the FBI. I could point out some people who may not be super necessary to the FBI.
Can you explain really quickly why a buyout in the federal government is different than a corporate buyout? Because people might be sitting at home saying, okay, well, corporations do buyouts all the time. Why are you guys freaking out?
A lot of people like corporate buyouts. The difference, though, is in the federal government, Congress has to allocate money. It's not just like a water faucet you can turn on and off. And so Congress has to allocate both the amount of money and the time in which it needs to be spent or cannot be spent. And here, if this buyout plan goes through, suddenly you're going to see, what's the math? 50,000 people times 7 months of benefits. I mean, that's probably hundreds of millions of dollars. So, yeah, buyouts are not inherently evil. In fact, they can be quite productive and helpful in the private sector. But here, the real question is it constitutional? And that's where I think he's going to run into problems.
Elionig, Estet Herndon, that was robust.
People love losing their jobs. They love layoffs, dude. It's the
Treasury Department's central
fan favorite. Yeah, I mean, people love corporate buyouts. You know who loves them? CEOs, shareholders.
Symbolizing a deadly attack.
Oh my Lord. What else? What else is there to talk about today? I feel like I covered everything. We all hate CEOs. Let's play GeoGuessr. This guy really wants me to play GeoGuessr. Can you answer my question, please? Do you honestly think that America's racist because MAGA is basically a multicultural and multiracial movement that concentrates all of its hate towards immigrants and trans people? Okay. Yes, dude. Like, everyone can be racist. It's like saying, how could you say ICE is doing the bidding of racists? They're 52% Hispanic. I know. Dude, this is a really funny thing that's been happening. A brief note here. Newly pardoned January 6th rioter Andrew Take has been rearrested. The Harris County, Texas DA had an outstanding warrant for Take's arrest on charge of an online solicitation of a minor. Fantastic stuff. Turns out many of the January 6th that were arrested and were in jail were maybe not in jail for the reasons that they should have been in jail, but so many of them are taking the last 2 weeks of freedom to do everything in their power to go back to prison. Okay. They're working tirelessly. They are working tirelessly. They're getting final destination, but for jail. Yeah. Emily Hernandez, pardoned for capital riot since the 17 years in fatal DWI crash. There was another guy who literally got killed by a cop. Did they think that like getting pardoned means like immunity for crimes of the future as well? Is that actually what's going on here? But they were like, oh, dude, I got pardoned by the president. I'm unstoppable. Let me go do some crimes real quick. He's like, finally, I can live out my dreams of soliciting minors online for intercourse. Now that my president, Donald Trump, has given me the right to do so. I got immunity. Permanent immunity, brother. Nah, before January 6th, nobody wrote about members of those groups doing crimes. Yes, they did. Those guys are, half of them had priors. They should get immunity again. Donald Trump should just release them again. Really set the standard. Set a precedent that if you've ever done something at the behest of Trump, if you've ever defended Donald Trump, then you defend Donald Trump once, you get pardoned forever. I like that. There was a new alt-right playbook, Double Wrong. Did you see the Daniel Penny news? Yeah, Daniel Penny was hired by Andreessen Horowitz for literally just killing a homeless man on the subway. That's it. Like, they did not hire him for anything other than the fact that he got famous in conservative circles for murdering a homeless person. It's wild. Yes, I did cover the golden pager thing. All right. No gaming tonight. No, I'm too tired. I'm going to end it here, chat. I love you all. First day back. Hold on. This is the wrong one. First day back. Okay. Welcome back. America is worse than I left it.